If you have a Mac and a Microsoft 365 subscription, you can automate the tracking of your monthly spendings using Excel. To automate this process, you need Power Query installed in Excel and your monthly bank statements in CSV file format. Normally, the banks have the option of exporting the monthly bank statements into a CSV file format. For those who are not familiar with Power Query, it is an ETL tool that allows us to connect to different data sources, transform it, and then load it into tables. With that being said, let's get into it. First, we need to prepare a folder which will be used for automating the spendings tracking process. Within my documents folder, I created a folder called Money Tracker, and inside it I created another one called CSV Bank Statements. Within this folder we will insert the bank statements in CSV format, and then Excel will connect to this folder, extract data, we will transform and load it into a table. So let's go to Excel and create a blank workbook. Let's save this workbook. We will call it Money Tracker, create it within our Money Tracker folder and save. To access Power Query, we need to go to Data and then Get Data. Normally on a Windows device, we will get many options in here, and we would go to Get Data from File, from Folder, and then choose the folder and extract the data. But here, as you can see, we don't have that option. We don't have many options on Mac version of Power Query. But luckily there is a workaround, and big shout out to Mr. Excel for it. We need to prepare our Excel file a little bit, and we need to tell Excel where our Money Tracker folder is situated, and then we need to grant access for Power Query to access the data from it. To grant this access, we need to get to our VBA editor within Excel. To do that, the shortcut will be Fn plus Option plus F11. Now make sure you have this immediate window opened. If not, then you can go to View and Immediate Window. Now inside this immediate window, we will write the directory of our Money Tracker folder. So let's write dir, open round bracket, open quotes, /users. Now the username, in my case it's Christian, you write your username, then documents, and then the name of our folder, which in our case it's called Money Tracker. So we write Money Tracker, and then close quotes, close round brackets, and press enter. Now Excel is asking for granting the permission. We will select OK. Make sure we are saving this file in the Money Tracker. And now we can close the VBA editor. Note that these changes won't apply straight on. We need to first quit Excel. Not just by clicking the X, but actually quitting, which means either pressing on Command Q or right-clicking on the Excel on the dock and quit. Now let's open it again. Open our previous Excel file, and now we will be able to load the data into Power Query. Now to use Power Query, let's go to Data, Get Data, and then we will create a blank query. Here within the blank query, we will delete the quotes, and we will write the source, which is our CSV bank statements folder. So we will write folder full stop files, open round bracket, open quotes, and then /users, /username, in my case Christian, in your case your username, then documents, Money Tracker, /CSV bank statements. And now click next. So as you can see, we got the data from that file. You can see we have 3 files. The first one is one of the bank statements. This DS store is a file that contains the logs for the opened Excel file, and then another docx file. So I did that to show you that before cleaning the data, we need to filter our CSV files. We will click on extension, we will unselect and select only CSV. So this way we make sure that only our CSV bank statements will be extracted and cleaned. Let's click OK. From here we can change the name of our query and we will call it transactions. And then here in the content column, it's actually the content of our file. So let's expand it. Click on these down arrows. Here is the delimiting feature of Power Query. In my case, for my file, it's the semicolon, the delimiter. But in your case, it could be a comma or a space or a colon. But usually it's a semicolon. So now click OK. This is our raw data within the bank statement. Let's navigate it a little bit to see what columns we have and what data we need and what data we don't. So as I can see, this column is the incoming money and this column is outgoing money. So since we are tracking the spendings, we won't need this column. So the columns we will need will be the date, the details of the transaction, and the actual value of the transaction. Now right click or two-finger tap and remove other columns. Regarding the details of the transaction, here we have the type of transaction. See here we have received money. Here we have POS purchase, another POS purchase, and so on. Below POS purchase, we have a card number, and below it, we have a terminal. The terminal is the place we made the payment, and this is the data that we actually need and that we are going to use to track our spendings. But the issue here is that we have the date in one row. In the same row, we have the value, but the terminal is 2 rows below. So we will need to apply a technique for aligning the terminal into the same row. We will use a technique I've showed you in a previous video, and it consists of adding 2 index columns. So let's go to add column, index columns. We will add an index column that starts with 1 and another index column that starts with 0. Now let's go to Home tab. Let's go to combine, and we need to combine these 2 index columns. So merge queries. In the lower window, let's select the same query, which is transactions. In the upper query, select the index column that starts with 1. In the lower, select the index column that starts with 0, and then click OK. Now we have a new column. We can expand it, unselect everything, and select only the column that we want to lift by 1 position up. In our case, this is column 2. Select it and click OK. Now you can see that the terminal has been lifted by 1 position up. So that means we need to apply one more time this technique. Let's go to combine, merge queries, select again the transaction query. In the upper window, we select the index column that starts with 1. In the lower, the index column that starts with 0. OK. Expand the newly created column, unselect everything. And this time, we won't select the second column, but we will select the 2.1 column, which is the most recent one. We will select it and click OK. So now if we highlight the terminal cell, we can see it is aligned with the value and with the date. This means that we can clean the columns a little bit. Let's select the date. Let's select the value and the details. Right click or two-finger tap and remove other columns. So now we have the date, we have the details, and we have the value. We could filter a little bit the rows, so we will get only the date, the terminal, and the value without these blank rows and null. So we could filter them by filtering the value column and unselect the null and OK. So now we basically filtered almost everything. I see here a 2-account transaction. We can keep it. Now we can rename the columns. This one will be called date. This one will be called details. And this one will be called values. Let's check the formatting of the columns. Right click and change type and date. So now it's formatted as date. In the details column, we could get rid of the terminal word. So right click, replace values. Let's write terminal colon and replace it with nothing. This way we get rid of the terminal word. Here, as I can see, it is formatted as a decimal number, so it's okay. We could also convert it to currency. So the cleaning is done. Let's load. Excel will show us an alert. We will click OK. And you can see that 3 spreadsheets have been created. One is the transform sample file, then the sample file, and then the transaction. The transaction is the final query where the data was cleaned. We don't need these 2 spreadsheets. That's why we can delete them. Let's delete this one and also this one. And we have the transactions spreadsheet. So now if we go to our Finder and let's insert another bank statement, let's say the one for the November, and then go to data and refresh. If we go down, we have also the November. So what we can do next is to create some spreadsheets by categories. I will create one category for the groceries, where I will select only the transactions made at grocery store and supermarkets, and another one for household spendings. To do that, let's go to Data tab and then click on Get Data. Here we will add another blank query. And in the source, we will need to write the next code. Excel, full stop, current workbook, then writing the name of the spreadsheet, which in our case is transactions, and then write content. So let's go next. So you can see that we have got the data from the transactions query. Let's call this query groceries. So here, the only thing to do is maybe correct the date. So let's change the type here to date and here to currency. And now we need to filter the transactions so that we only get the grocery stores. To do that, click on this arrow and text filters. By the cells that contain, and we will write some of the grocery stores. Or let's go to advanced, that contain also Lidl. Let's add some more. Let's select details. Contain here, make sure you choose or instead of and, otherwise it will filter wrong. Let's add some more. It's again the details, contains. Let's add KFC. Contains and McDonald's. So the point here is that in this corner we have different mega market stores. So if we are filtering the text by containing a specific string, then we make sure that we will get all the words that contain mega market. So if I click OK and resize it, you can see we have one mega market Co, mega market D, and so on. So with that being done, we are ready to load. So now we have a table only with groceries. Let's create one more query. Get data, blank query. Let's write again the Excel full stop current workbook, open and close round bracket, and then name equals to transactions in quotes, and then open square bracket and content. Now next, here let's again correct the change type. So this one is date, this one is currency, and here let's filter that contains, let's go to advanced, and here let's write IKEA. Then let's write also internet. Let's also add in here the mobile provider and so on. So now let's click OK. Let's just rename it to household spendings and close and load. So now we have the second category. So now we could create a pivot table from the groceries data. Let's go to insert, pivot table, and here let's write the name of our table, which is groceries. Let's select the existing worksheet. Let's place it somewhere in here and OK. Now let's drag the values into the values window and the date into the columns. So you can see we got the sum for the October and for the November. Let's go to our Finder and copy one more bank statement into our money tracker folder. So now let's go to data, refresh. Let's check that the December has been added. So not yet. What about this other? So in the transaction has been added, but not in this query. So we refreshed it manually. Now we have also December added, but our pivot table is not updated yet because we also need to update it manually. So right click on it and refresh. And now we also have December added in here. From this point, you could elaborate and you could create a more complex pivot table. And you can also create charts and graphs with the data that we extracted. If you enjoyed the data cleaning process, check out my other data cleaning videos on the channel. Also, thumbs up this video and give me your feedback in the comment section down below. It helps a lot. My name is Christian and it's a pleasure to be a part of your learning journey. See you.